What they sent has gone back to sender. Witches thought they were cursing you, but they didn't know they were activating your angelic protection. What they sent has gone back to sender, and now the fire they started is burning them. Let me speak to the chosen ones, the ones who felt targeted, isolated, and attacked in silence. You didn't provoke anyone, you didn't offend anyone, but suddenly people started turning cold. Things started breaking. Doors that were open slammed shut. You felt the shift, didn't you? That unexplainable heaviness in your atmosphere. Strange dreams, sudden exhaustion, confusion without a cause. That wasn't random. That was spiritual warfare, and someone had you marked. But here's the revelation. They thought they were launching a curse, but what they really did was set themselves on fire. The kingdom doesn't play when it comes to its own. Heaven doesn't sit back when a child of divine purpose is under attack. No, it responds. And the response is never subtle. It's not emotional. It's not petty. It's legal. It's fierce. It's final. When witches, warlocks, jealous souls, or secret enemies try to curse you, they are stepping into a courtroom they cannot win in. The spirit realm is governed by laws, and one of those laws is this: touch not my anointed. That's not a suggestion, and it's a warning they chose to ignore. You didn't retaliate, you didn't clap back, you didn't gossip or curse, you stayed quiet, you stayed holy, you stayed hidden in the secret place. And in doing so, you triggered something powerful, a divine reversal. What was sent at you couldn't land because your spirit was not compatible with witchcraft. You were sealed, armored, watched by angels. So the curses bounced, the arrows reversed, and the assignments returned with multiplied force. Let this message ring loud in your spirit. Return fire is real, and it doesn't miss. What they sent, they are now battling. What they whispered, they are now eating. What they plotted, they are now trapped inside. This is why some of them have gone silent. Some are mysteriously sick. Some are publicly exposed. Some are unraveling mentally and emotionally because the fire they lit came back to consume them. This message is for survivors, for warriors, for those who've endured sabotage, strange attacks, manipulation, and jealousy. You were never weak. You were just preserved by heaven for the right time to rise. And now the atmosphere is shifting, the tables are turning, and the return fire has already begun. Let them know God ain't playing about you. What is return fire in the spirit realm? Return fire in the spirit realm is not some emotional reaction to being attacked. It is a divine response rooted in spiritual law. It is not fueled by bitterness, hatred, or revenge. No, return fire is activated by the justice system of the kingdom of heaven, which always repays according to righteousness and divine alignment. When someone sends curses, hexes, word assignments, or demonic spirits against a kingdom citizen walking in obedience, those evil intentions collide with the spiritual armor of God. And what doesn't penetrate must return to its origin, not because the believer cast a spell back, but because the laws of the spirit realm cannot be mocked. The principle is simple. What you sow, you will reap. This is not just a physical truth. It's a spiritual guarantee. Every action in the spirit has a reaction. Every spell sent carries a spiritual address. And when it doesn't find a legal opening in your life, when your soul is sealed by the Most High, when your altar is pure, when your walk is clean, that demonic assignment can't enter. It has no landing strip. So what happens next? It ricochets, it reverses, it returns to sender with interest. This is not superstition, it's divine justice. Return fire is what happens when an enemy crafts a weapon, but that weapon fails to accomplish its mission because you are under kingdom protection. And when the weapon fails, the judgment begins. This is the spiritual enforcement of what's written. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not only will the weapon fail, it will backfire. The spiritual realm is not passive, it is responsive. Angels of warfare are on assignment. They are not just sent to comfort. They are sent to defend, to retaliate, and to uphold the verdicts of righteousness. We see this pattern repeated throughout divine history. When evil men and women rose up to curse, sabotage, or destroy God's anointed, the very weapons they fashioned ended up being their own destruction. Think about Haman. He built a gallows to hang Mordecai, but he was the one who swung from it. He was plotting in secret, building altars of death, releasing decrees of annihilation. But the law of return fire was already in motion. The trap he set became his own tomb. Why? Because when you fight someone who is spiritually aligned with heaven, you are not just fighting them, you're fighting their divine covering. This is why kingdom citizens must understand the legal aspect of warfare. We are not fighting from a place of panic or fear. We are not calling fire out of emotion or anger. We are simply standing still and allowing the righteous judge of all creation to respond. Return fire is spiritual justice being released. It's courtroom judgment, not carnal retaliation. When witches send curses, they are releasing spiritual contracts. These contracts must be executed by demonic agents. But if you've built your altar with prayer, consecration, and kingdom alignment, those demonic agents find themselves blocked by divine fire. They cannot enter your space because your territory is marked, your dreams are sealed, your name is defended. And so by law, those same agents must return with the unfulfilled assignment, and they do not return empty-handed. They go back carrying the weight, the judgment, and the vengeance of heaven on their backs. Understand this, return fire is not about wishing harm on others, it's about upholding divine order. The moment someone violates your spiritual boundary with the intent to harm, deceive, bind, or manipulate you through dark means, they open themselves to the wrath of divine retribution. And this retribution is surgical. It targets the source, it uncovers the hidden altars, it shatters the spell, and it brings swift consequences to those who tamper with holy things. In the kingdom, you don't have to fight dirty. You fight righteously. You don't curse back. You stand in the authority of your covenant. You don't yell, panic, or retaliate like the world. You activate spiritual immunity. And this immunity doesn't just block, it reflects. It sends every evil arrow back to the source. Not because you're vindictive, but because you're covered and the law of divine retaliation is in effect. There is a reason witches panic when they realize they touched the wrong person. Because when return fire activates, their altars collapse, their sources dry up, and their masks fall off. They experience confusion in their ranks, night torment, financial ruin, exposure in their circles, sudden sickness, delays in their rituals. Why? Because what they sent has reversed. And when it hits them, it doesn't come softly. It comes with the wrath of divine order, and that kind of fire can't be quenched. So hear me clearly. Return fire is not revenge, it's righteous retaliation. It is not fueled by flesh, it's executed by fire. It is heaven's response to hell's aggression. And when your life is built on the rock, you don't worry about curses because you know they can't land, they can only return. This is the inheritance of those who walk in kingdom authority. Divine justice will always answer on your behalf. And when it does, no witch, no warlock, no altar, no agent can withstand the heat. Exposing 5 common curses witches send and how they backfire. In the realm of spiritual warfare, there are few weapons more insidious than curses sent in secret. These are not random attacks. They are calculated, channeled, and constructed by dark spiritual systems designed to wound the soul, fracture destinies, and delay the assignments of God's chosen ones. But what the enemy consistently underestimates is this: the true child of the kingdom is not defenseless. They are dangerous, not because of carnal retaliation, but because of divine alignment, heavenly backing, and the spiritual law of return fire. Witches do not always walk with broomsticks or wear pointed hats. Today they often show up in familiar faces, masked as friends, lovers, co-workers, mentors, or even false spiritual leaders. They operate behind smiles, while their hearts carry jealousy, manipulation, and hidden rituals. But when their curses hit a child of God walking in righteousness, the spiritual law of reversal is activated, and every spell becomes a boomerang, returning not just to sender, but with divine judgment attached. Let us now uncover 5 of the most common spiritual curses witches send, how they are designed to work, and most importantly, how each one ignites return fire when it targets the wrong one. The curse of the evil eye, jealousy. The evil eye is one of the oldest forms of spiritual attack. It's rooted in envy, but it operates as a spiritual weapon. This is not just someone being jealous in their heart. This is when someone looks at your life, your success, your anointing, your relationships, your joy, and their hatred becomes a magnet for spiritual projection. The evil eye is a curse sent through glances, stares, and unspoken rage. It can linger in rooms, photos, and gifts. When witches activate the evil eye, they aren't just observing you. They are spiritually launching confusion, misfortune, and division into your atmosphere. Its goal: to disorient, to break favor, to strip you of confidence, to shift your relationships into chaos and stagnate your forward momentum. This curse is often accompanied by sudden miscommunication, loss of spiritual clarity, and chronic misunderstandings among people who once stood with you. But here's where return fire begins to work. When a kingdom vessel is covered, the evil eye has no access point. Instead of planting confusion in your life, the curse bounces. It turns inward. The very confusion they intended for you now breaks their own relationships. They begin to lose favor with their own circle. People start seeing through their manipulations. The attention they crave turns into exposure they cannot escape. Shame begins to manifest publicly. Their name becomes associated with disorder. Return fire turns their silent jealousy into public disgrace. The evil eye becomes a mirror. Everything they wished on you, they now face multiplied. And worse, they can't stop it. Because once you are sealed under kingdom alignment, heaven becomes your defense system, and the eyes of darkness become blinded by holy fire. Word curses and gossip spells. This is one of the most common and underestimated tools of witchcraft, the power of the tongue. Witches and dark agents do not always need rituals to destroy. Many destroy destinies with nothing but speech. They slander, they speak death, they chant your name in circles. They launch word curses through gossip, lies, false accusations, and verbal decrees. They create suspicion about you in the minds of others. They whisper into rooms you haven't even entered. The goal: to assassinate your character, fracture divine relationships, and poison your future. These word assignments are not casual. Some are spoken in emotional rage. Others are spoken over candles at night or while fasting, aimed directly at your spiritual identity. These are contracts made in the unseen, and when a believer is unaware or uncovered, these word curses can delay, discourage, or drain. But when a righteous one is walking in kingdom obedience, those words have no legal access. Instead of penetrating your soul, the curse becomes suspended in the realm, and it begins to unravel the life of the one who spoke it. Gossipers find themselves in emotional torment. Slanderers begin to suffer paranoia, depression, and social collapse. Their own words become chains around their minds. Their tongue becomes a trigger for spiritual consequences they cannot escape. Return fire doesn't just silence their mouths. It torments their minds. They can't sleep. They are haunted by guilt. Their plans fall apart because they opened their mouths against the wrong one. You don't have to argue back. You don't have to defend your name, because the angels of God silence accusers better than any human ever could. This is why the word says, "He who guards his mouth preserves his life, but he who opens wide his lips shall have destruction." Not every attack needs a response. Some need only spiritual silence and legal intercession, and return fire will do the rest. Cursed food, drinks, and material gifts. Here lies one of the most subtle and dangerous forms of witchcraft, gifts that carry demonic assignments. In ancient cultures, witches often placed curses inside food, drinks, oils, powders, or jewelry. Today, they disguise it as hospitality. They cook for you with unclean hands. They give you perfumes, bracelets, clothes, or trinkets prayed over in rituals. Some items are cursed to drain your energy. Others are sent to track your atmosphere, invite familiar spirits into your home, or sabotage your finances. But here's what happens when the child of God walks in discernment and covering. The moment that cursed item touches your space, the Spirit alerts you. Suddenly the gift feels off. Your peace is disturbed. The item goes missing. A dream warns you. Or by divine orchestration, the gift never reaches your hands. And if you unknowingly receive it, the blood covering renders the curse powerless, and it bounces back to the origin. And when return fire hits, The very thing they used to drain your blessings now drains theirs. Their money begins to dry up. Business opportunities begin to slip. Unexpected bills show up. They suffer unexplainable loss because the altar they raised to curse your provision has now become a snare for their own. This is spiritual economics. When witches sow into your life with the intention of stealing, heaven releases justice by stripping the thief's supply. You didn't have to rebuke the gift out loud. The holy fire intercepted it for you. The angels of prosperity and protection sealed your house and burned their altar. Let this be a prophetic reminder. Not every gift is a blessing. Some are traps. And when they try to bind you through cursed items, the spiritual law of return fire doesn't just block it. It destroys their entire plan at the root. Relationship manipulation and spiritual sabotage. Witchcraft doesn't always come through potions, and sometimes it comes through people sent on assignment. One of the greatest tools witches use is emotional infiltration. They will enter your life disguised as love, loyalty, or concern, but their real goal is sabotage from within. These people are spiritually programmed to steal your time, drain your energy, delay your purpose, and plant confusion in your decision-making. Some are romantically involved with you. Others claim to be spiritual guides, friends, or even helpers. But beneath the surface, they are tapping into soul tie manipulation,